How many of you know what this represents? What's the first thing that comes in mind?
School. Schoolhouse.
What about this one? What does this represent?
School.
What do they have in common?
They're both in school.
They were both two minorities that were segregated. Today I'm going to be talking about segregated schools, about two civil rights cases, and actions that were taken thereafter. I have researched this matter for several weeks, and I'm also part of Fullerton College Mendes Project, which was a play that was done to simulate this issue. Also, Sylvia Mendes, one of the segregated students at Westminster, has been on this campus. She has given speeches about her experience as a segregated child. Also, most students that are in this class have gone to schools here in Orange County, and some of us have even gone to schools that have been segregated. Many of us have been discriminated because of our physical appearance. Today I will be discussing about the civil rights case, Mendes versus Westminster, the probable reasons why it is not well known as Brown versus Board of Education, and how it is trying to be integrated and recognized in the U.S. history. First of all, let me talk to you about the happenings of the civil rights case, Mendes versus Westminster. In 1945, Gonzalo Mendes and Felicitas Mendes moved from Santa Ana to Westminster, and their children they changed schools. They went to the 7th Street Elementary. Soledad Iduari, Gonzalo's sister, she was also going to enroll her children at that school. So she did the favor of taking their children also to this school. But when they got there, according to Molly, member of the Academic Search Premier, they had told her, we'll take those three, but we won't take those three, which were Gonzalo's children. The reason was they were too dark. Thereafter, the kids were segregated. They were isolated. They were sent to another school, Hoover Elementary, where the surrounding was they had electric wire, so children couldn't get out. Gonzalo Mendes, who was enraged, he went out and filed a lawsuit against Westminster School District. Went to court, and that school district was not the only one that was segregated. Also, El Modena, Santa Ana, Garden Grove. When court, school officials from Westminster argued that they placed the children in a separate school because they needed to be Americanized, and it also retarded English children. They had the idea that separate was equal. Mendes had won the lawsuit in 1947, and schools in Orange County became desegregated. Not only Mexican American, but all minorities. Now that you have an idea of the civil rights case, Mendes versus Westminster, let's look at the probable reasons why Mendes' case is not well known as Brown versus Board of Education, and how it's paved the way towards the Brown versus Board of Education. This case was 9 years prior to Brown versus Board of Education, and it was a local case also. African Americans were brought to the U.S. as slaves, and that may be one of the reasons why it had a greater impact, and it's well known. Also, it was mainly only about one minority, African Americans. The Mendes case desegregated all minorities, and this case also it helped Brown versus Board of Education, partially did in the case. Now that we have discussed both cases, let's see what is being done by Sylvia Mendes, one of the three segregated children, who is a former civil rights activist. In her early 20s, she was going to school, and she saw a newspaper article she saw that her dad was involved in a case where she formerly went to that school, and she didn't know about this matter. She was too young to remember. When she saw this, she went right to her mom, and her mom explained what had happened. After that, she wanted to do something about it. She wanted people to know about it. Why not? She struggled in integrating the Mendez case, and she wanted to be recognized as a historical event. Sylvia Mendez has gone around the nation. She has given speeches, what she has done here too. She has given speeches to students. She wants to inform. She wants to pass on the knowledge. She's doing this for a reason, for a cause. And according to Molly, Sandra Robbie, who was an intern at KOCE-TV, first read this case 10 years ago, has since produced an Emmy Award-winning Mendez versus Westminster for all the children, para todos los niños. And there's many people that have come together, and they're working for this matter. They want to integrate this issue into the U.S. history. They want to do this by integrating it into the lesson plans and books of children. Well, today I have discussed the civil rights case, Mendez versus Westminster, the reasons why it is not well known as the Brown versus Board of Education, and how it's paved the way for Brown versus Board of Education, and what has been done by Sylvia Mendez. As you can see, this issue is not far from achieving its goal. Thank you very much.
Well, since we don't have Stephen, I'll pick up the slack here, and again, I have to watch my time. The attention device, it's not as well controlled as I think it needs to be. Once you get the audience responding to the issue, I think you lose a little bit of focus. I like the idea of the two images, though. I think they work pretty effectively. The topic is pretty clearly identified, and once you get started, you've set up the content, so the introduction is fine. The organization in the body of the speech, I think, is a little problematic, because it sounds like it's going to be chronological, following the history of the case, but then it kind of jumps around to some autobiographical information, and then there's some analysis of the case. I think that the structure internally is not as clear as it seemed like it was going to be in the setup of the preview. Some of the places, early on you had some citations. It sounds like you're citing the documentary and the play that you are talking about, and that's okay, but after that it's a little bit less consistent. The analysis on why Brown versus Board is better known or is seen as being more significant, I think, is a little speculative. There's got to be some scholarly research on this, or some first-hand observation by the participants, or maybe somebody who has written on this subject someplace. Otherwise, it just seems sort of conclusionary at this point. I thought that you used the visual materials pretty well. There's not a lot here that's adding understanding to the subject, but it does help us remember what the topic is and see some of the issues that you're talking about. So it's kind of a thumbnail sketch of the presentation that you were talking about being involved with. I thought you did a nice job talking to the audience as well. All right, thank you.